So Ferrari is the story of Enzo Ferrari's auto empire in crisis. Or really not even his auto empire, but more his personal life. Set in the summer of 1957, Adam Driver plays Enzo Ferrari, the leader of the Ferrari Corporation that is in trouble. They need money. They need to just make more cars. They need to sell more cars. They need to generate buzz to sell more cars because they are running out of cash. It's 10 years after the war, and things are not going good at home. Enzo Ferrari's wife, played brilliantly by Penelope Cruz, is torn up and twisted and struggling to connect to her husband, who couldn't be more distant. He's got another relationship in his life that has a whole ball of wax connected to it with a woman played by Shailene Woodley. He's got to win this big race coming up, and his drivers just don't have the guts to cut the corners, to beat Maserati. He's got to make something happen. Adam Driver plays a man spinning 12 plates at once, a guy who should have said things and meant things a decade ago and kept it to himself and put a wall up because his dark and twisted passion is racing, something where people die every day, and it is incredibly dangerous. And rather than expose himself to that emotion, he walls it off and he pushes people away. And now that his son has passed and his wife is in shambles and his company's about to go under, we meet him and he has to try to figure out how to get out of it. It is a odd sort of feature from director Michael Mann. It is people talking in rooms, and I really liked it. Andy, what did you think of Ferrari?
So this movie's definitely grown on me the longer I've kind of sat with it. And it starts a little slow, but it gets better the longer it goes in the movie itself. It starts a little bit as a slow drama, but it picks up just his internal drama with his personal life, having multiple women and this kind of illegitimate son that it's hidden from the public, that juxtaposed with the need to race and to win and to be able to sell cars. There's a great line where he says, you race and win on Sunday, you sell on Monday. And so the racing funds the rest of the car business. And he's all about this what he calls their terrible passion. He loses a driver early on in a car wreck. He said, all right, pay the widow and get the next driver. Like he doesn't care. It's all about the racing, and he wants to be surrounded with people that are all about it. Really great performance, a stunning performance from Penelope Cruz, and Adam Driver hitting just the right note. I've compared this to Maestro, where Bradley Cooper is just trying so hard in that movie, and like I never really learned much about the character, and he just looks like Bradley Cooper in makeup. Whereas this, I totally lose Adam Driver in the performance. All I see is this character who is ruthless and troubled and problematic, but kind of has a spirit to win at all costs, and it really ended up being a lot more riveting than I expected.
I mentioned in our Eileen review from a few weeks back that Eileen feels like the movie Anne Hathaway got a script for in 2023. It was like, this is the one I'm going to pour myself into. Like, this is the performance I really want to get into. That's what Ferrari is for Driver and Penelope Cruz. Like, both of them are leaning all the way in, tears on screen, reading it like Shakespeare. And the script is excellent, from Troy Kennedy Martin and Brock Yates, who worked on things like Cannonball Run and The Italian Job. Like, they managed to craft this fascinating look at this guy. It's not a biopic. Let's get that out in the front. It is not about his whole life. It is about a very narrow window of time. It's one summer. It's like a couple of months. Like, it moves through pretty fast. But when we open our film, we get Ferrari relaxing and being himself before he hops out of bed, throws on his watch, gets himself together, goes to work, and then we meet the man who is a twisted dude. Like, things are not going well for Ferrari. Like, he and his wife are not speaking to each other. She knows of his infidelity and is actively aware of it, but they treat each other like business partners. Like, everything is just about money and about connections and what we're doing next with the company, right? And meanwhile, they have this horrific tragedy that separates the two of them like an ocean, which is the death of their son Dino, who passed away from kidney failure, I think, after the war. Like, the two of them have completely gone their separate ways, but still have to work together for the sake of the company, which they still do. Meanwhile, at work, Ferrari is watching drivers careen off of tracks and get splattered onto concrete, and their like wives and girlfriends are running up screaming and crying, and he's like, get me another driver. Like who can I get out here who's got the guts to take the corners the way they need to, because my machines are not the problem. Like, he has such a twisted view of like what success is and what power is and how to hang on to it, that you end up with this like fascinating little family political drama. Like, I was super into it, man. And Michael Mann, I think, is able to accomplish this in three effective ways. Number one, a brilliant script, right? Like with actors who just want it, who are hungry for it. Number two, good setting and lighting and just solid camera work all around. He's got the resume for it. He's more than capable. Number three, dude, I love how dangerous the car scenes are in this. They're wildly dangerous. Oh my God. I would never want to get behind the wheel of one of these things. Every one of them is a death machine. And I love that. Like, I love that that's highlighted. Go see Ford v Ferrari from James Mangold. Yeah, it's dangerous, but there's something cinematic to it. In here, no, dude. It's like a saw trap getting behind the wheel of one of these cars. And I don't think I've ever seen it that way. Like, I thought that was so interesting to take this thing that people revere and love, the sport and the art of racing, and just tear it down to this very infinitesimally small idea that this is a silly thing that people shouldn't be doing. And it's incredibly dangerous. But here we are. And this is what Ferrari's life is. And this is what he's dedicated to. Like, fascinating. It's like a twisted funhouse amusement park owner gone wrong. A dark Willy Wonka, like, who's giving up everything for the sake of the next thrill. Crazy.
Yeah. Really thrilling movie in the end. It takes, like I said, takes a while to get going, takes a while to get to the big race. The big race in this is the Mille Miglia, which is it's a 1,000-mile race, and over the course of 24 hours, and there's different stops through the Italian countryside, but it's dangerous. No one really wants to do it. They're like, you got 1,000 miles of kind of, you don't know what the road conditions. It's impossible to know every turn, every curve, every road. The road conditions will change. People tend to die every year that this race is held. But this is the one they have to win. Again, the company's in trouble. You got to win the races to get in the public eye, to get in the newspapers, and then sell those cars come Monday morning. And so the stakes are just so clear and so high. And again, I'm going to keep dunking on Maestro, where like I didn't know what that movie was about, and this takes a moment in Ferrari's life to explore his character and for us to get to know him, and it works really well.
Like, the Ferrari's empire is in crisis, right? Like, he needs financial bailout, and he's not going to Henry Ford because he's an American, and maybe Fiat will help him. And meanwhile, he's competing with Maserati, who just keeps making better cars. And he says, Maserati's drivers are better. I need better drivers. Like, there's these really fantastic scenes where in the first trailer is actually built around this. He sits down with all his drivers and he says, imagine you're racing to the corner and there's the other driver from Maserati and you're coming up on it and one of you has to slow down. He goes, are you a racer or are you a sportsman? Like, are you a man or are you a coward? Like, this is the moment that matters. This is what life is about. It's fascinating. And the man is completely deluded. Like, he even says at one point after a tragedy with one of the drivers, he says, it wasn't my fault. If there's anybody to blame for that driver's death, it's his mom. She's the one who's rendered insecurity into him. She's the reason he's hitting the brake. Like, just crazy. Like, just off the wall bonkers. But the guy's so imposing. Driver is just this tall guy with the big shoulders and the suit and the tie and the sunglasses that look cool every time, and he just looks vicious. And it's this great scene at the end after the events of the movie have happened. I don't want to give it away. It's in the trailer. Driver says, if Italy's looking for a scapegoat, here I am. Full of great lines, this movie. Full of fantastic lines. But he says, if Italy's looking for a scapegoat, then here I am. Like, if this is what you want me to be, then fine. Like, I don't care, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I believe in what I'm doing. And it's so great because the thing he believes, the dream he's chasing, is so tragically bad. Like, it's so bad for everyone. Drivers die. His life is falling apart. His son is dead. His wife's not talking to him. Like, Everything has gone wrong, and he's racing to the corner like constantly. It's this fascinating little drama. Like, I really was spellbound by it. And it's weird. I need to mention as we wrap this review up that I feel very unique in this space because I don't know anybody else who really liked it like I did. I was totally into it. The guy I saw it with was like, not for me, dude. Like, I do not think Ferrari's for everybody. I think I just happened to really fall for it, man. I don't know. Michael Mann got me under his spell.
I was mostly really impressed with the two performances. Again, Adam Driver embodying this kind of character, this ruthless character, uncaring about the human life in a lot of ways. There's a great, he has this great monologue in the middle of the movie where he's talking to his drivers, and he's saying, "Do you know why that driver took that turn and the other one didn't?" He was like, "When you hit the brake, they say, 'Screw it, I'll die.'" And it's like, that's the attitude he wants on the track. The guy who's gonna press the gas, who's not gonna back off, who's gonna play chicken until the other guy backs off. And it's just like, that's the drive he has to win in the races. And then his personal life is so muddled. Again, he has two women. He's got a secret child. His wife, played by Penelope Cruz, technically owns half the company and has half the shares because of some wheeling and dealing at right after the war, where he had to kind of get rid of some shares and not having them in his name, this sort of thing. And it's coming back to haunt him. And again, she's having to deal with like this kind of shame and embarrassment of like him having mistresses. She feels he's responsible for the death of their son. And I mean, she's got a couple of just incredible scenes. And yeah, and then we get to the racing. You know, we get in these old like 50s cars that like, they look like they go way faster than they should, and there's like zero safety like in them or on the roads. Yeah. It's just kind of terrifying. Like, the racing stuff is done really well.
I know we should curb this. I like this movie a lot, obviously, but I can't say it's all perfect. Again, it is people talking in rooms. Like, if it is 5% racing, maybe, like, there's not a lot of car action. What's here is really good. Also, a bit of a content warning when I was talking about a driver being splattered on the concrete. Like, it's an R-rated feature for sure. Like, it definitely an R-rated movie. Like, so just be aware. But what's here is really tremendous. Like, a really thoughtful drama. I think it's great. I really like Ferrari, and I don't know many other people that have. And that's okay. I think it'll maybe generate some buzz. I think it may make some honorable mentions at the end of the year. Top 10 of 2024. We'll see. I think this movie is really cool, though. Andy, any other thoughts for recommendations?
I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Michael Mann's Ferrari?
I think I would to the racing fan. And if you're willing to give it a chance, if it sounds like something you'd be into, it definitely is people talking in rooms, but we have some incredible performances from our leads, Penelope Cruz and Adam Driver. Really intense racing sequences that kind of go on through the last third of the movie. It's a little long. It's a little slow in the beginning, but once it gets going, it really gets going. So I would recommend.
Yeah, same. I think it's super rad. I think if you like big drama, go check it out. You like Adam Driver, go check it out. You want to see Penelope Cruz genuinely put out a powerhouse performance, go check it out. Yeah, I think this movie's cool. It's not for everybody. I definitely think people will think it's boring. But I don't know, man. Like, I really got into it. Like, Driver playing this just like twisted shell of a man, like, who is trying desperately to keep it together and maintain this presence when like so much is not only is going wrong, has gone wrong, and has not been resolved. It feels like the movie after the movie. Like, I think Ferrari is really cool. I think this movie's neat. I'm glad we watched it. This is the kind of bold cinema I think this show's made for. With that being said, we got to move on to our next segment because we got a lot going on this show. We still got 2 more reviews for The Color Purple and also for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Before we get to that, one more small segment. Andy, what do we want to call this?
It's time for the death of cinema.